I'm Ranger Erin, and we're going to be talking today about fossils. Now, fossils are evidence of past life. So some animal or plant or other type of creature that lived here a long time ago. And it could be the actual animal, like we see over here. There's a snail there, and we've got some different types of bivalves over here. Or it could just be the imprint. So right here, there used to be the shape of that animal inside this rock. So our fossils are going to be some evidence of past life that's going to be preserved in our rock layers. And around here in Louisville, all of our fossils come from a time that's known as the Ordovician period. And that's about 460 million years ago, which is even before our dinosaurs. This field of study is called paleontology. So a paleontologist is one who studies fossils and the life that those fossils can tell us about from long ago. Our fossils from the Ordovician period all contain marine life. And marine life means that they are animals that live in the ocean. But how did paleontologists figure this out? Well, our fossil record shows us what animals were living there at the time. And I'm going to show you a few things that I've got here. So we've got some coral. I've got a cephalopod, which is kind of like our modern day squids. And then on this rock, I've got all different kinds of things. So I've got a lot of small shelled creatures, brachiopods and clams. I've got these longer bryozoans right here, which are going to be related to our modern day starfish. And so what we don't see are birds, we don't see mammals, we don't see any of our amphibians, and there's really very few fish that are preserved in the fossil records from 460 million years ago. So mostly what we've got are small shelled creatures. And we already said that we've got those snails, those clams, those coral. Well, you might be saying, but wait a second, some of those are living today, and that's true. So all of these animals that were living 460 million years ago, many of them have modern relatives that are living today. And where do we find coral? Where do we find those marine snails and those clams? We find them in warm, shallow waters around the equator. We find them in all of those coral reefs that are living today. So the types of adaptations that an animal has, being a small-shelled creature living in a warm environment, that can tell us a lot about the type of environment that used to be here. So because we know what types of animals are preserved in our fossil record from 460 million years ago, paleontologists were able to figure out that all of Kentucky used to be under a warm, shallow ocean 460 million years ago. When it comes to most fossils, only the hard parts are going to get fossilized. So the way that a fossil is formed is that that animal that's swimming around is going to fall down to the bottom of the ocean when it dies. So it's probably got some type of shell. We'll talk about maybe that cephalopod, so it's got this long tube-like shell, and then it's got a lot of soft tentacles, a lot like what you think about an octopus has. So if that animal were to die, it would fall down to the bottom of the ocean. All of the soft stuff would kind of get rotted away, and then a bunch of sediment or sand or types of grit or even other animals are going to start to fall and pile down on top of that. And over a long period of time, remember 460 million years is a really long time, the pressure of that ocean and the pressure of that sediment is going to bear down on that, and that's going to turn all of that layer of sediment and animal shells into rock. So it feels different from what we have today. This is a shelled creature that's called a mussel. These are animals that are living out here in our creeks. This is not a fossil, and I could break this easily. It's very smooth, it's colorful. This is not a fossil. One day it could be a fossil, but for right now it's a lot smoother, it's a lot softer, it's not rock. So the fossils are actually part of the rock layer below. So they're going to be rougher, they're going to be less colorful, they're going to be harder to break. And all of this is called a special type of rock that's called sedimentary rock. So most of our rock around here and most of the fossils that you'll see around the world are going to be preserved in that sedimentary rock. 460 million years is a long, long time. And there were other animals that lived since then. And there were other layers of fossils that would form on top of this layer of Ordovician rock. So we would have the Ordovician down here, and then we would have a more recent layer on top of that, another layer on top of that, maybe somewhere in there there's those dinosaur layers, getting all the way up to modern layers of rock. But how do we get all the way down here to where that Ordovician level is? Well, we've got lots and lots of erosion happening out here. So I set up kind of in front of this creek. It's a great place to find fossils because our water is going to erode away the rock. So that rock is going to get broken apart, it's going to get weathered apart, it's going to get carried away downstream erosion, and it's going to start to expose those layers of rock until we get all the way down to that Ordovician level, and then we can see all of that life. So those layers on top, they're going to be our most recent, and as you get deeper and deeper into the earth, you go back in time until you get to that Ordovician period 460 million years ago. And right around here, we've had enough erosion that all of that Ordovician layer has been exposed. But even underneath that Ordovician layer, you can go even further back in time. To recap, what we talked about in this video is what is a fossil, which is going to be some evidence of past life, animal, plant, or other, that's going to be captured in the rock layer. We talked about the types of fossils that we have around Louisville, which is really showing us that Ordovician period about 450 million years ago. And that was all going to be marine life. And our paleontologists were able to figure that out by looking at the types of adaptations that the animals that were captured in that fossil layer show us. And they were able to figure out that this whole area was covered in a warm, shallow ocean. Lastly, we talked about how those fossils were going to be formed in that sedimentary rock by all of the hard bits getting pressed down, lots of sediment on top, and then the pressure of the water and the sediment over time formed that into a rock layer. Thanks for joining me. I'll catch you all next time.